We are going to see the third chapter in geography, which is our changing earth. In the last class, we have discussed about earthquake, volcano, effects of endogenic forces. Under this, we have seen spreading zones, subduction zones. Next, we have seen about exogenic or exogenous forces. Under this, we have discussed about waterfall. Synopsis of the lesson. In this session, we are going to see the following topics. The first one is features formed by a river. Under this, we are going to see meanders, oxbow lake, floodplain, levees and delta. Next, we are going to learn about landforms created by sea. Under this, we have sea caves, sea arches, stack, sea cliff and sea beaches. Next, we are going to learn about features formed by ice. Under this, we are going to see glacier, glacial moraines. Then we are going to see features made by wind. Under this, we have mushroom rocks, sand dunes, then lures. Next, we are going to see earthquake preparedness. Finally, we are going to see earthquake in Nepal, a case study. Now, we are going to see features formed by a river. The following features are made by a river. The first one is meanders. Then we have oxbow lake. Then we have floodplain, levees, delta. Students, first let's see about meanders. A meander in general is a bend in the course of the river. In other words, a large bend or loop in the course of a flowing river is known as a meander. So what is mean by meander? A large bend or loop in the course of a flowing river is known as a meander. There could be a series of them at places, especially where the hills start turning into plains. Students, here we can see the picture of meander. Next, we are going to learn about oxbow lake. An oxbow lake is a shallow U-shaped or C-shaped body of water formed when a wide meander from the mainstream of a river is cut off to create a lake. This landform is called an oxbow lake for the distinctive curved shape that results from this process. So what is mean by oxbow lake? An oxbow lake is a shallow U-shaped or C-shaped body of water formed when a wide meander from the mainstream of a river is cut off to create a lake. This landform is called an oxbow lake. Students, here we can see the picture of oxbow lake. Next, let's move on to floodplain. A floodplain is flat or nearly flat land adjacent to a stream or river that experiences occasional or periodic flooding. After a flood, the river leaves behind a fresh layer of topsoil which is very fertile. So what is mean by floodplain? A floodplain is flat or nearly flat land. Adjacent means next to a stream or river that experiences occasional or periodic flooding. After a flood, the river leaves behind a fresh layer of topsoil which is very fertile. Students, here we can see the picture of floodplain. Students, next let's see about levees. A levee is a natural or artificial slope, embankment or wall to regulate water levels. It is usually earthen and often parallel to the course of a river. Students, here we can see the picture of levee. So what is mean by levee? A levee is a natural or artificial slope, embankment or wall to regulate water levels. Next, we are going to learn about delta. Delta means landform formed at the mouth of the river where river begins to break into a number of distributaries. In other words, a delta is a landform that is created at the mouth of a river where that river flows into an ocean, sea, estuary, lake, etc. Here, estuary means it is an area where a freshwater river or stream meets the ocean. Then, deltas are usually formed at places where the slope of the river bed becomes too shallow before it enters the seashore and the stream of water loses speed. This causes it to lose the sediments it had carried earlier. As the river flows in a relatively flat area, it forms large number of distributaries or streams, and the sediments keep collecting between these streams and forms shallow islands. This whole area is called a delta. Students, here we can see the picture of delta. Next, let's see about landforms created by sea. The first one is sea caves. A sea cave is a type of cave formed primarily by the wave action of the sea. The primary process involved is erosion in the rocky faces on the seashore. Students, here we can see the picture of sea cave. Next, we are going to learn about sea arches. A sea arch is a natural arch or bridge made of stone that has been created through the process of land, wind and water erosion. Over a period of time, a sea cave can convert into a sea arch with increased erosion in the rocks. Students, here we can see the picture of sea arch. So what is mean by sea arch? A sea arch is a natural arch or bridge made of stone that has been created through the process of land, wind and water erosion. So over a period of time, a sea cave can convert into a sea arch with increased erosion in the rocks. Next, let's see about stake. A stake is a geological landform consisting of a steep and often vertical column or columns of rock in the sea near a coast. Stocks are formed when part of a main landform is eroded by water action or water crashing against the rock. Students, here we can see the picture of stocks. Next, let's see about sea cliff. The seawater coast rising almost vertically above the seawater is called a sea cliff. Students, here we can see the picture of sea cliff. So what is mean by sea cliff? The seawater coast rising almost vertically above the seawater is called a sea cliff. Next, we are going to learn about sea beaches. The span of the seashore, which is flat, and the waves leave behind sediments at these places in the form of fine sand are called beaches. Students, here we can see the picture of beach. Next, we are going to learn about features formed by ice. The first one is glacier. A glacier is a large mass of ice like a frozen river moving slowly over some land surface or down a valley. In some areas, the amount of snowfall exceeds the amount that melts. This accumulated snow mass causes the formation of glaciers. There are some glaciers which have a thickness of nearly 200 meters of ice or nearly a 60-story building. So students, here we can see the picture of glacier. Students, do you know Siachen Glacier on the borders of India in Jammu and Kashmir is also known as the world's highest battlefield. Here we can see the picture of Siachen Glacier. Next, we are going to learn about glacial moraines. First, we have to know what is mean by glacial moraines. Glacial moraines means rock debris. Debris means waste and coarse material deposited on the glacier due to its movement. As the mass of ice forming a glacier slides down, it erodes the soil and rock on the sides of the valley through which it passes. These soil and rock debris keep collecting and moving along with the mass of ice and is called glacial moraine. A moraine is any glacially formed accumulation of unsolidated glacial debris, which means soil and rock, which can occur in glaciated, which means covered by glaciers or ice sheets regions. Students, do you know Iceland is close to the Arctic Circle? This region is extremely cold and has many glaciers, but at the same time there are extensive, which means large hot springs and volcanic eruptions. Next, we are going to learn about features made by wind. The first one is mushroom rocks. The mushroom rocks are also called rock pedestals. They are one of the most striking manifestations, which means display, of the processes of erosion and weathering, usually found in desert areas. So, mushroom rocks are usually found in desert areas. The winds blowing at high speed erode the lower section of the rocks more than the upper portion. This happens as the sand particles blown along by the wind, being heavier, remain close to the surface, and as the wind passes along the rocks, the sand particles in the wind keep eroding. Then the portion of the rock closer to the surface, while the upper portion is not affected as much. This gives the rocks a mushroom-like shape. So students, here we can see the picture of mushroom rock. Next, we are going to learn about sand dunes. Hills of sand formed due to wind action in deserts. This is called sand dunes. Students, here we can see the picture of sand dunes. Sand is formed by continuous erosion of rock surface affected by fast blowing winds. This sand gets transported by wind, and wherever the wind loses velocity, the sand gets deposited and forms a hillock of sand called a dune. Dunes are subject to different forms and sizes based on their interaction with the wind. Most kinds of dune are longer on the windward side. So what is mean by windward side? The direction from which the wind is blowing, that is windward side. Where the sand is pushed up the dune, and a shorter in the leeward side. So what is mean by leeward side? It is the direction downwind or downward from the point of reference. Next, we are going to learn about lures. So what is mean by lures? Very fine sand deposited by action of wind. This is called lures. Students, here we can see the picture of lures. When sand of very fine grain and lightweight gets blown and subsequently means later gets deposited over a large area, it is called lures. Frequently means regularly or often. The resulting lures deposits are several meters thick. Such areas are found in certain regions of China. So in this chapter we studied various forms of changes the earth undergoes due to differing causes. Students, remember, these changes do not happen over days but mostly take many years to be noticeable. The process is continuous and never ending. Next, we are going to learn about earthquake preparedness. Earthquake can take place at any time of the day at any place and in any season. As of now, it cannot be predicted. We should be aware as to what actions we should take to save ourselves from the effects of these. The first one is safe spots. Safe spots means sitting under a table, chair, kitchen counter, standing against the inside corner of room is found to be safer than other places inside buildings. They are safer from falling debris. Stay away from fireplaces, areas around hot appliances, glass surfaces, mirrors, as such things can fall, shatter or break to cause injuries. Then be prepared. Make your friends, elders and family members aware and always keep first aid items at home. Keep telephone numbers of fire brigade. Here, fire brigade means a group of firefighters, hospital and police close at hand to call for assistance. Students, you would have noticed some changes which are sudden can have devastating effects. Here, devastating means damaging effects. The coastal areas in India now have warning systems for tsunami, and one should be vigilant. Vigilant means watchful or alert to any such news if you are in coastal areas. Earthquakes are also quite frequent. You should be aware how and what safety measures could be adopted to safeguard against loss of life and property by these. First, we are going to see definition of a case study. A case is a factual description of events that actually happened at some point in the past. It is designed to elicit discussion and analysis of a particular situation. Here, factual means truthful or realistic. Description means explanation. Elicit means provoke or cause. Analysis means study or investigation. So, a case is a factual description. Here, factual description means truthful or realistic explanation of events that actually happened at some point in the past. It is designed to elicit. Here, elicit means provoke or cause discussion and analysis of a particular situation. Here, analysis means study or investigate a particular situation. Students, next we are going to learn about earthquake in Nepal, a case study. Students, here we can see the pictorial representation of earthquake in Nepal. Earthquake in Nepal, a case study. On 25th April 2015 around noon, which means around afternoon, an earthquake measuring 7.8 on the Richter scale struck Nepal. It was followed by over 100 aftershocks over the next few days. Its epicenter was in the north central Nepal and its hypocenter was at a deep of approximately 8.2 kilometer below the surface. So, it was considered to be the strongest earthquake in the last 80 years. The tremors were so strong that they were felt several hundreds of kilometers away. Then it destroyed nearly all the buildings in the capital city Kathmandu and the surrounding regions. Students, here we can see the picture of destroyed buildings. During the earthquake, people were rendered homeless and cut off from the rest of the world, as all roads and even the airport was damaged. It triggered, which means it caused huge landslides and avalanches in Himalayas. So what is mean by avalanches? Avalanches means a large amount of ice, snow and rock falling quickly down the side of a mountain. This land-locked country was nearly devastated, which means destroyed. Over 9,000 people died and more than 20,000 suffered injuries. 17 days later, another major earthquake measuring 7.3 on the Richter scale hit the same region. This one, coupled with the disaster caused by the earlier quake, affected nearly the entire population of the country. These massive earthquakes destroyed nearly 6 lakh homes and another 3 lakh were damaged to become unstable and insecure. So, the maximum impact was felt in remote areas. Since it is a hilly region means hilly area, reaching these remote areas turned out to be very difficult. It made rescue and relief operations difficult due to failure of electricity, communication and road network. Then India was one of the first countries to send support in the form of tents, blankets, medicines, food and clothing. Even rescue teams were flown in. Then many other countries and organizations joined in to provide relief to the disaster-struck people. Then rescue teams and search operations were launched so as to locate survivors from the rubble. Rubble means debris or ruins. Then reconstruction efforts were taken up by the country from within its resources and with foreign assistance. I have enclosed the classwork instructions in the PDF. Kindly refer it. So now we have reached the end of this session. Thank you.